Hey, what's up, Blazer fans? Welcome to We Have a Take the What podcast. I am Tara Bowen Biggs, joined as always by Rose Harding. Hello, Rose.
Hi, Tara. How are you doing today?
That's a loaded question these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been a rough week in the world, in the United States, in all kinds of ways. I don't know. I don't know about you. Like, this is a Blazer podcast, but not a political podcast. But the way the world is, what's happening in Minnesota right now. Well, we can tie it to the NBA. They canceled an NBA game because of the killing, murder, and
Yeah.
it's just a lot to take in. How are you doing?
I don't know. It's just it's a hard week. Um, I don't know if you know this about me, but like my mom's family is from Minnesota, so I've spent a lot of time in Minnesota. All of my family from my mother's side is there still. Um, and I've been thinking about Minnesota a lot. And as also tying it to the basketball part of it, I was like, what is it about Minnesota? Because the pandemic started with canceling a Minnesota game too. And then they canceled that Timberwolves game. And I was like, oh, and I think that was the right thing to do, but I was like, what is it about Minnesota?
Yeah, I bet you they're wondering too. I bet you they would like it to not be about them anymore. I mean, just what they are enduring is just I can't even imagine it. And in sub-zero temperatures, I don't know. I guess watching the way the community there is coming together, it just, makes me want to double down on my community here. And make sure that we all have plans to check on each other and to support each other because it could happen to us. It could happen. I feel like, I mean,
Yeah.
I my inside me goes, this could be us any day now. And so I just, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And Minnesota is a different state, but like we're all people here, like, and they chose Minnesota because various reasons, but like they could choose us. They could choose another city that,
Hmm.
where we have all of our family. Like, I don't know, like it's just it doesn't feel random, but it doesn't feel like there's anything that's preventing it from being us.
Yeah, it feels very heavy in the world right now, and it's very strange because here, like, in addition to, what's going on in Minnesota and what's going on around the world and, the way our government is trying to do things around the world, there's this massive storm that is
Hmm.
putting many people in danger. And then I look outside my window and it's like bright and sunny and getting kind of warm. It's a little chilly, but and it's just like it's just so much cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. And we've seen a lot of really horrible storms in like recent years. It feels like there's at least a couple every year, it seems. And infrastructure is not the same everywhere, and infrastructure doesn't like support everybody equitably in those places. And I think a lot about the people who are vulnerable and potentially suffering right now, and it's just like a lot to carry.
Yeah, it's a lot to carry. Well, our Blazers appear to have arrived in Boston. They made it over the stormy area before the storm broke. So they're on a road trip this week and they're going to be returning home next week. So hopefully the travel in between will be safe for them as well. I think I saw quickly before we logged on in Blue Sky, there's like some teams are stranded in various different places. So that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it feels like we're maybe a little lucky here in the Pacific Northwest that like a lot of the other parts of the country are dealing with something that's far more dangerous and hard to navigate than we are here. Here it's just like a little too cold.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like I had to put on an extra layer today. Uh, yeah.
I will also say that I've just been really moved by looking at places like Minnesota. Like Minnesota's like, have you ever been there in the winter? It's cold.
Hmm.
I've spent winters in Minnesota because with my mom's family and like Christmas is there and it's cold. And I was like seeing how many people were showing up in the frigid cold to support their community and be there for each other. And that really like warmed my heart to the extent that like, that matters. Like
Yeah.
how we respond to horrible things says a lot about us.
Yeah. Well, this is a bit of a heavy introduction.
Yeah. How are you is a really loaded question these days.
Yeah, I mean, we do have hang with us, folks. We do have some fun stuff to talk about. We actually got to go to the season ticket holder event this week and had some fun. So we definitely want to talk about that. But let's talk about like kind of some Blazer general stuff.
Yeah.
The All-Star voting came out. Denny did not get voted in as a starter, but he got a lot of votes. Was he the fifth? I think he ended up being the fifth.
He was fifth in
Sixth,
the
sixth,
fan vote.
fifth in
He was
fan
fifth.
vote.
He was fifth in the fan vote. So if the fans had just decided the All-Star game, he would have been a starter. Although
Oh, go ahead.
I would say I don't actually understand the starter thing anyway, because there's three teams and there's five starters from each conference, but like that math doesn't check out, guys. So
Yeah.
like I don't really know what starter means.
Yeah. And I just don't think this is the year to have USA versus the world teams and like I it doesn't feel right. Like so much about this All-Star doesn't feel right. But I'll just say at the with the results, I know that Denny like had a whole, whole country behind him, like,
Hmm.
we were talking about like, gosh, how many votes is Jan Hansen gonna get when he's got a country? But like it really played out for Denny. But I was kind of surprised that he didn't get more player votes. I thought he would be higher up in the player votes. And I know that they don't take it seriously. So I
Yeah.
guess that's probably why he didn't. I mean, I think Donovan Clingan got somebody posted a list of like Blazers who got votes, and like almost everybody got like at least one.
Yeah. Because they vote for each other. They vote for their
Yeah.
friends. And I think that right there is probably the key to maybe why he didn't get more player votes. He's only been on two teams.
Yeah.
So he's been on the Washington Wizards and he's been on the Blazers, and he doesn't necessarily know a ton of other guys unless they also like maybe overlapped in like EuroLeague. Um,
Yeah. That's a good
but
point.
like when I see like how many votes like LeBron still got and KD still got and all these guys that have been around forever, I'm like,
Yeah.
you just haven't had he hasn't had the same opportunity to like have those relationships where guys are like, "Oh yeah, I want to start. I want to vote for you." And I didn't go back and look, but I've thought about going back. I should go back now that I'm saying it out loud and see how many votes Shea Gilgeous-Alexander got like 3 years ago.
Hmm.
I think it was 3 or 4 years ago that it was his first All-Star game. Like how many player votes did he get? Were there actually, I don't even know if the players were voting then.
No, I think the players have always voted, haven't
The
they?
players are right. The players have always voted.
And
That's
it's
right.
the third leg of that stool is the media, right?
Media
And then it's
votes.
the coaches who figure out who the rest of the players are going to be. I was also kind of surprised at the lack of media vote because like, and maybe it's just because it's remarkable how all of a sudden the media has started to pay a little bit of attention to Portland, and it's through the lens of like the entry point of Deni Avdija.
Hmm.
And so I was like, well, there's like YouTube, clips everywhere on social media about various talking heads talking about how Denny's going to be an all-star this year. Well, where were your votes?
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I also, one of the things I thought about it, I was like, the media is concentrated in certain parts of the country and it's not here. So a lot of guys like to like, hit lots of different stories because they need to have a lot of stuff to talk about. But in the end, if when it comes down to a finite number of votes, it's going to go to guys that are in their market and, people that they see more regularly, maybe have relationships to protect. This is me being kind of pessimistic about how like the inside game of this all goes because like, like we saw the way everybody really wanted to glaze the Warriors for so many years. And it turns out that like, that paid off for a lot of them.
Yeah, and also side note, can we please stop talking about are the Warriors going to be able to get one more championship for Steph? Ugh, so stop that. Stop that. Um, let's see, there was one more thing I was going to say about, oh yeah, so the coaches whose
Hmm.
responsibility, of course, it is to come up with the rest of the votes, and I guess they usually just turn it over to the assistant coaches who send in the votes. But so I would just like to request that every coach who sent a double team or more to Denny should make sure that he is on the ballot.
Right. If you are like doing your whole defensive scheme about how to stop Danny, like Ime Udoka, Ime Udoka, who made all of those adjustments between that first Rockets game and the second Rockets game to get to force the ball out of his hands. I'm like, you better have voted for
He
him.
better.
Um, One of the other things I would say, so we saw two articles come out about Denny this week from our local media. Jason Quick wrote one for The Athletic about Denny, and then Bill Oram followed it up the next day with another article about Denny. And it was a little bit about where he came from as a player, his background, similar to what we did on our deep dive. And then there was also this other added layer of what it is that we do and do not expect from him to speak out around political issues, especially around Israel.
Mhm.
Did you read those articles?
I did. I did. First, I want to talk about just my overall impressions of the article, the quick article,
Hmm.
which was, like you said, it was kind of like a deep dive on his kind of life and his upbringing and how he grew up. And my biggest takeaway from that article was how much bullying Denny had to go through as a child when he was
Yeah.
still a teenager playing against much older people. And it was all under, it sounds like from the reporting, it sounds like it was all under the guise of making him better and making him stronger. We're going to pick on him because we could see the potential and just all of that. I don't, macho stuff. I don't know what it is. It's just, thinking that you have to be mean and scream at somebody to get the best out of them, and that's how I took it. That's what it, and I just was like, oh my God, that guy has been through so much. I really hope that as players make it into the league and they get with a team who gets to know them and like know what is best for them, that they can really take care of him, because he's got to be carrying a lot from that type of an experience. They talked about him being a young player and the old guys picking on him on purpose to make things hard for him. His coach is yelling at him all the time. His family having very high expectations. And I was just like, God, that poor guy, in terms of just like what he's had to listen to his whole life playing the game. Like, he loves the game. I would be like, I love this game, stop yelling at me.
Right. You're not going to make me love it more because you yell at me because I already love it enough. The thing that made me, so I thought about the same thing when I read about the bullying, like the bullying aspect. And the one thing I thought about was how many players don't survive that? Like Denny, we're talking about this as something like for Denny, he's like, oh, it made me stronger. And I'm like, but how many people didn't survive that who might have survived other ways had they not been bullied out of the sport? Like we all like there's like a survivorship problem here when we just hold up the experiences of the guys who survived it and
Mhm.
are maybe like stronger or more he compared it to like a callus, like he's calloused from it. Like who didn't make it there?
Yeah.
I
And,
don't know. We don't know who they are.
and what could he have been if he hadn't had to go through all of that too? I mean, I have a different approach than everybody has different approaches about, how they raise people or how they encourage people or whatever. And that just happens to not be mine. But I also think about like, what would it be if he had not had to endure that?
Hmm. Yeah, and I will say I was looking at this article and kind of pairing it with one of the articles that I read when we did the Denny deep dive, which was him talking about how he really lost out on some of his childhood, because he was taking basketball super seriously from a young age. And this is maybe some of the downside of playing pro so young. He talked about, there were parties he didn't get to go to, friends he didn't get to hang out with, things that he missed out on. He didn't really get to date some girls or whatever. Like there were so many things that like you just take for granted are normal youth experiences that he maybe didn't get to take part in. And so I wonder how much of like his childhood was stolen from him a little bit because he committed himself so heavily to basketball. And instead of those experiences that are like, I think, joyful and full of like, youth and growth, he got bullied by adults instead to become a better basketball player. I'm like, could he not have done both? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you just compare it to, other it's just so interesting how people have such different paths to the NBA. And just like everybody in life has a different path to where they got. Like no two people like have the same path to get to where they get. But I can't help as we're doing these, deep dives and getting to know these players to compare, different ways that people moved about the world or were moved through the world. Um, and, we just did Drew not long ago.
Hmm.
And, Drew and his family and them having, and I'm not like projecting like any, like one is right and one is wrong. Um, but Drew and his family making sure that like he was in the choir and he had to manage the women's tennis team and he had to like do all they wanted to make sure he did all these other things. And then you have somebody who had such a singular focus and had everybody focused on his singular focus, just what the differences might have been like to that and the different kinds of things you carry because of that different experience.
And I think there's this added thing, this added level of like complexity to Denny's journey through basketball because he comes from a small country where there isn't a lot of basketball representation in the world and certainly not the NBA. And what happens when everyone is looking at you to represent them? Like, they go as you do. They follow your career. They see you as somebody who represents them to the world, and they can be very proud of you. And that can come with pressure in addition to like some joy and pride. And so I think about how much pressure he gets from lots of different sides of it, not just about being the best basketball player he can be, but also being about somebody who people like him can look to and be like, I can be like that too. Like
Hmm.
being a role model, whether it's by on purpose or by accident, I think carries a lot of extra responsibility that can be hard for people to cope with.
Yeah. And if there weren't necessarily a lot of people in the path in front of you,
Hmm.
you're sort of like looking for the path that somebody there's still a little bit of a residual, but you're also having to travel that path to make it for other. And just being from a country that is so much in the spotlight in especially in this modern day, and that's what the second article kind of focused a little bit more on. um the Bill Oram article in the Oregonian. Let's see, the Jason Quick one was in the Athletic and Bill
Yeah.
Oram was in the Oregonian, and it was more about his speaking or not speaking about the politics of the country that he is from.
Yeah, Jason Quick kind of he so Jason Quick kind of planted the seed there. His article touched on like he asked Denny what it felt like because to have people constantly like bringing that to him. Like it's like I'm sure that if you spend time on social media looking at stuff that is Blazer related, you have seen comments that are quite disparaging of him, regardless of what the post is about. If it mentions him, there are some comments about him and about where he comes from on every post that I've seen.
Hmm.
Some of them are, I think, more aggressive than others, but they're definitely present. And so Jason Quisk asked him about that. And he kind of like vented his frustration a little bit with how he wants to be seen as someone who's more than just where he comes from. He wants to be seen as a basketball player and why like he's frustrated with the fact that it's hard for him to be seen as a basketball player with this out there. Um, and then the Orem article, I think, dived more into like what can we really expect of players and what it meant to be a supporter of free speech for athletes. He kind of did this comparison of like if you're for free speech, you should be for also people choosing not to use it if they do not want to. And he kind of compared like, like Colin Kaepernick and some of the other folks who have used their platforms. And he was like, he's like, not using your platform is also a form of free speech. But people don't want that from you. They want you to use your free speech when they agree with you and shut up and play basketball when they don't, when they don't agree with you. Um, which I thought was an interesting perspective because I hadn't really thought about the kind of defining um characteristics with the free speech argument here. Had you thought
Hmm.
about that?
So, since Denny has joined the team, I've known that there were a lot of conflicting feelings,
Hmm.
really. Um, that I don't really know how to, I don't know really where where I fall on sides and how much he should be doing this and what I should say about how I think he should do that. All I can really talk about is how I feel about it,
Mhm.
which is, conflicted and confused. And especially like with what's been going on in our country for the last year, when all of a sudden, like, I grew up as like what I identify like as an American, and like in the way that I grew up, because that's just how it was. I grew up in, feeling like American pride in being an American. And that I thought, we had this big country with all kinds of different people living all over it. We have a different government system right now that is, to me, very personally embarrassing. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what? Like, that's not what I thought it was. And so I guess, like, with Denny, I wonder, like, how does he feel? I don't know. I've never asked him. I haven't, I've read a little bit, I've seen a little bit about, like, he had a flag in his locker, and I don't know if he was like, I'm gonna fly this flag in my locker forever, or like I've never seen it again. I don't know if it's still in there. Maybe it is. I don't know. So, like, I don't have enough information to know how he feels about it, but I'm just saying that right now, like, I thought I had one thought about my government, and now I have a different thought about it. And I wonder if other people who, um, were raised in countries that have a government acting in a very aggressive way, um, if they how much they identify with the government versus their country versus their countrymen. I don't know. It's brought up a lot of feelings for me, none of which are uh have like crystallized into anything I can really articulate. But since Denny has been here, that has been on my mind a lot, and I don't really know what to do or where to do with it. So I've mostly not spoken about it, but I've sure been thinking about it.
I think that's a completely reasonable, normal way to walk through the world, you know? Like I don't think we all have strongly held opinions that feel like they've been like we've amassed all the information that we need to have them. Like I think that we're all like living our own lives, telling our own truths, like figuring out what we believe and what we don't and what our values are and what that means. Like, and I was thinking about, I'm like, Denny's like 25. He just turned 25. Like, where was I on my like idea of what I thought about the world at 25?
No kidding.
Like I don't know. I can't even put myself in the body of my 25-year-old self. Like I can't put myself in the mind either. Um, but the thing that has been real I've been really thinking about is like how much I don't know about somebody. And this is something that I try to bring with me everywhere that I go, which is to have humility for how much I don't know about somebody else.
Hmm.
Just because I read about you doesn't mean I know you. Just because I've followed your career doesn't mean I know anything about who you personally are as a person. You know, I don't know how you wake up in the morning. I don't know what your relationship with your family looks like. I don't know what life experiences have like led to you to this place. I don't know what kind of core memories you carry with you. I don't know any of that. And so it's really easy for me to have grace for someone who's life I don't understand and decisions I may not understand, and be like, I can still try my very best to give you my my best effort to understand you and meet you where you are and believe that you have good intentions. Um, and I don't know if everybody has thought thinks that way. That's the way that I think. That's the way I like to meet people, and that's the way that I like to interact with people until people demonstrate to me in a way that I feel comfortable saying, I don't feel that way about you anymore. I don't know how I feel about Denny. I think that everything that he's done when he's been doing press and been playing basketball for us he seems like he's been a good teammate. He seems like he's been a good guy. He loves to share credit. He loves to like have humility for his journey as a basketball player. And beyond that stuff, like, I don't know. But for context, the other thing that I thought a lot about was like a lot of people have been throwing around reasons for why they don't trust him to not have an opinion or whatever, like, which is everyone's right. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. But the thing that I keep coming back is how many things from Denny's past that get brought up that all proceed today.
Hmm.
Like, I know a lot of people have pointed to, oh, we've seen a picture of him in his IDF uniform. I'm like, well, he had to do that. He was we covered this on our Denny deep dive episode. He had to serve mandatory conscription in Israel. He got special treatment where he was never on active duty. He did like basic training, and he did it in 2020 when all of basketball was shut down because it was the pandemic, and he did it because it would be the least disruptive to his career. I don't know if I can say that like 2020 Denny and 2026 Denny are the same guy and that they necessarily think the same things or see their lives the same way. I don't know. Um, but I can definitely have a lot of like grace for any of those things, especially because I'll say like I understand mandatory conscription a little bit better than I think like the average American, just because I was born in a country that had it. And I know people who have served in that country, and it's really, I'll say like in countries where you are required to serve as like a term of being a citizen, it is really not a political statement. It is more of a rite of passage. It's something that everybody does. They are required to do. It doesn't say anything about your politics or what you believe. It just means that you are want to remain a citizen of the country that you were born in. Um, so, Korea has mandatory conscription. I know that the Antetokounmpo brothers have both did their basic training during the pandemic like Denny did because basketball was shut down. I know that Şengün will probably have to do mandatory conscription at some point because I believe Turkey also has mandatory service. Um, and I'll say, like, I don't know the ins and outs of it for Israel, but I do know that you're a reserve a much longer than a lot of countries. And so I have a lot of grace for like not really understanding the complexity of that system, but honoring that like it is hard to navigate and it's hard to like feel like that means something to a group of people because that's not the culture they grew up in.
Mhm.
Having like a lot of, I think being humble in the face of not knowing somebody else's culture can be really challenging, but it's like it's something I try to exercise every day. I don't know where you come from. I don't know what kind of social rules you come from or social expectations you come from. I don't know any of that. I do know what you have shown me. And so I guess like this is all a long way of saying is like there's so much about Denny that I don't know that I still offer him my very best good grace because I everything that he's shown me as like a member of the team that I root for has been positive.
Yeah, and it reminds me just like how nothing is ever easy. Like nothing is easy. Everything is so complicated. And like I'm still trying to figure and understand like the history of my own country because I was taught one thing that I thought was the truth and I'm learning that it was a lot different than what was taught in school. Like in 19 so we were talking about when we were 25. At 25, it was 1994 for me. Like 9/11 was years away.
Hmm.
Some of these flashpoints, but there were things going on that I would not have been proud of to be an American, but I just didn't know at the time. That's is, and that's again, that's my experience. And the other thing about my experience is that I know that there have been, atrocities going on in the country that the Denny grew up in.
Hmm.
And I just, those things are true. And I don't know how to reconcile them, but, and it upsets me every day to see pictures of what's happening. And I do wonder to myself, like, what does he think about that? I'm not going to pretend that I don't think that I wonder what he thinks about that.
Sure.
Um, uh and what he would do and what he could say and like if he would play for that team. Like I like to think, do thought experiments where if my country was embroiled in something that I was really against and I was an athlete, would I play on that team? I like to think that I wouldn't, but I don't know, I'm not in that situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All this to say is it's very complicated and I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's going to get bigger and because like if he's going to be an all-star, you were
Hmm.
mentioning before we got on, all-star game is going to have even more media covering him, so it's going to continue and I think we have to be prepared for it and be prepared to listen to each other and to be careful with the words that we're using and be careful with the things that we're thinking we know about everybody, like kind of like how you were saying. Um, yeah, I wish none of this was happening.
Yeah.
I wish we didn't have to worry about any of this. I wish that this was not a conversation that we had to have, but our best player has this extra stuff that accompanies him. And so if we want the Blazers to be a good team for a long time, he seems to be a really important part of it. So it's not going to go away.
Yeah, and I one of the you were talking about you were like, "Oh, what would I do if I were in this situation?" One of the things that I think a lot about is how like different even the concepts that you think in change when you come from a different culture or a different language. Like, and
Mhm.
Denny comes to us speaking exceptionally good English, but it is still his second language. And I don't know if he thinks conceptually the same way that people like us, Americans who are where our first language is English, think. And I will tell you right now that like one of the first things that I think of when I think of how like strong his Israeli identity is how in Korea, like yes, the Korean flag represents a country, but more than the government and more than the country, it represents the people. And I don't know if like how common that is everywhere around the world, but I leave room to to wonder if that's how he feels as well. If that flag doesn't represent a government, doesn't represent a state, it represents the people. And I'm never going to tell anybody that they should forsake the people that loved them and nurtured them and made them successful and helped them become who they are, people who are like valuable aspects of your journey. Like I'm never going to tell somebody that they have to do that. Like even if I myself might choose something differently, I would never ever say that someone else had to do that. That feels entirely wrong-headed to me. We are all our own people, and if that's what that feels like, you can't be proud of where you come from because that means disparaging the people who nurtured you and made you who you are. Like, what can I say to that?
Yeah, when you were talking about that, what it brought up for me was I feel like we're in a therapy session. Was like where I've been with the national anthem over the years. First of all,
Yeah.
it's a terrible song. Like I like it's like I don't
Hard
know
to
why
sing.
that's it's like hard to sing. It's like the other verses are just awful. But it's been a debate like do I stand? And for a while I didn't stand for it. Um but lately I've been standing for it because it's like to me it's like I'm standing for what it used to represent in my mind of what I thought we were and
In the
who our
ideal of what we
people
should
are.
be.
And like, and also like for the people who are singing it,
Yeah.
because any more nowadays to get up there and sing that, there's a really good chance that somebody's gonna boo you. And
Yeah.
and again, I'm not sure I could be mad at that person either. But like yeah, it's just that's one of an internal thing that I've been through where now I'm like standing because like I don't want it back how it was because I know how it wasn't good either, but I want to go back to a time where we like read the Constitution and knew the ideas behind it and our government supported them for the most part or you know so
Hmm.
like I don't want it to go back, but like I want to stand up for like what I thought I used to believe in and also for the people who are brave enough to get up there and sing it because I know I could never.
I think about that person a lot we hear the national anthem at Blazer games completely. And I think like when my fear for them is like I know that somebody might boo you, but I don't like I want them to know that like anyone out here who's maybe listening who sung the national anthem, I'm proud of you. Like
Mhm.
you are a member of our community and you got up to sing in front of all of us and regardless of the song that you sang, you did great.
Yes. Okay, I want to wrap this up, but I want to tell you one little thing. The
Mhm.
game on the Miami game, the people who sang the national anthem were two Portland police officers, and they crushed it. I was like,
Whoa!
I thought it was so good. I thought it was so good. For me, like the main thing about the national anthem is that it's fast. That's like my number one thing is that the national anthem, just get through it. Because I'm excited to get to the game. I don't like the song. I don't like don't drag it out. So number one, they did that, but it was just that it was a two-part harmony. It was super cute. And I was like conflicted because I'm often mad at the police, but these guys are crushing it in my mind and the song. So yeah, it's a conflicting time now. So we should probably wrap it up and start talking more about the Blazers.
Yeah.
We did have
That's
some good stuff happen.
Yeah. And also, I want to just say, like, it's the night that what you just shared about the national anthem. It's nice to remember that people are more than one thing. You know what I mean? The complexity of people, every person is more than one thing. So these people are police officers, but they're also exceptional singers.
Yes.
And like we can appreciate that about them and remember that like regardless of what we know about people, they are more than what it is that we know of them. Everyone is complex. So I like that.
Wow, that's a take. That's an excellent take.
Um, and we do have fun stuff. And I will say, for me right now, basketball feels like an important escape. It's hard for me to access certain days and at certain times when I'm feeling a certain way, but I try to remember that it's something that really helps me along and find joy every day. So I'm trying to lean into it.
Yes, something to look forward to. Especially the way the Blazers are playing this year, how much fun they've been to watch. I mean, I was at the Miami game. So much fun to beat Miami. And we were having a little bit of a discussion in the group chat about like that was scheduled as with the Rivals Week game, which feels weird that Miami is the Portland Trail Blazers rival, but like whatever. The important thing is that they handled them.
That's right. That's right. Um, Also, like I think a lot of the Rivals Week stuff kind of falls flat, if I'm being honest. Like a lot of them, I'm like, why are you guys rivals? Who made you rivals except for the NBA on Rivals Week? Like they don't always make sense.
Yeah. I think conceptually it was a good idea, but in execution, Rivals Week is not really. I don't. 2 or 3 years from now, I don't think we'll have Rivals Week anymore.
Who was our rival? Do you remember who our rival was last year in Rivals Week?
I
I
have
don't think it
no.
was Miami. I think it was somebody else.
I have
So that's
no
like,
idea. I had no idea. We were just trying to get through every game.
that's right.
We were just trying to survive. Yeah, we were just trying to survive. But the big thing that happened to us this week is we had yet another in-person opportunity to hang out together this week.
Yeah.
I can't believe it was this week. It feels like it was a million years ago. But Tuesday night was a season ticket holder event, and it was the first time that you got to attend. So I would love to hear what you thought because I remember the first time I attended, I was just like, I want to talk about nothing for like 10 days.
Well, I will say this. One, first and foremost, thank you to friend of the podcast, Kat, who is also our G League correspondent, because Kat took me as her plus one, because I am not a season ticket holder. I have not, I've been to like some games, but I haven't been to that many games. But it was a real gift to be able to get the opportunity to go and see what it was all about and meet some of the players. And I found it kind of overwhelming just because like there's like so much stuff and so many people and everyone's moving fast and everyone's trying to get somewhere. And like it was a little bit like sensory overload in some ways, but I had a lot of fun.
We
I hung
should
out
say
with
it was at
you.
OMSI.
Yes, it was at OMSI. And we got there early. We got there like before it opened and got in relatively easy. It wasn't like it was hard for us to get in. But it just felt like you were being like rushed from one line to the next. That's what it felt like.
Hmm.
And I really appreciated getting to meet some of the players and say embarrassing things to them. Um, and just like see what they were like outside of watching them play exceptional basketball.
Hmm. So, had you thought in advance at all about like what you expected the event was going to be like? Did you?
No,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah. And so the way the event works is there's like they like take over OMSI. They have a number of different like stations that have players, and the players are at each station for like I don't know 15 minutes or half hour or something, and then they rotate to a different station. Some of the stations might be like specifically for just taking photos, and some of them might be like a more interactive kind of thing. Like what are some of the interactive ones we did?
Well, there was that one where we had to like try to throw bean bags into like a hole for points. And I was like, when we, because when we saw went to that station there, Drew was there, and I was like, Drew, you're a ringer. Like, you're so good at this. And I guess because you throw things into a hoop for a living and I don't. But yeah, he
Did
crushed.
he? I think you said something to him like, "How are you so good at this?" And he goes, "Gee, I wonder why." Which I thought was great.
But I did make one beanbag into one of the 10-point holes, which was the smallest holes, and he was like, "Oh, look, you're pretty good at it too." And I was like, "No, certainly not."
We did that. We did that with Drew. We played Connect Four with basketballs with Blake Wesley.
The room was too dark though, because I couldn't tell which slots were empty and which one had black balls in them.
Yeah, the whole place, it was too dark and too loud. You were talking about sensory overload, and I think that's something, if anybody's listening, there was like we were in I think the line to do the beanbag toss thing, we were right in front of the DJ station, and it was
Mm.
blasting into a room that like it was so it was so loud. And then yeah, it was dark. So it's kind of like, why are restaurants always dark? I want to see my food. Like, why is it so dark here? I want to see the people, and I want to see the fun outfits people are wearing, because people come like decked out. Oh, when we were standing in line, or the first one that we went to was Young Hansen. We
Yes.
went to go get in that line first, and people there was this one woman there who Young Hansen super fan.
The best. Her, can I say her name? I don't even
Yeah,
know her first name. Can I say it? Or should I not?
I mean, I don't see what I don't know. I don't know.
Well, anyway, I won't say it, but she was so excited. She was there making like social posts. She was there looking for other like Young Hansen fans. And she at one point I was like, maybe I'm gonna lose Tara tonight to this person because like I like you guys were wrapped up in conversation for a good like 10 minutes.
Well, because I was like, who is this? I was trying to figure out if she was a fan or if like she was somebody because she was also talking with the guy who's the remix manager.
Hmm.
And she also had like a bag full of Young Hansen jerseys that she was like having other people in the line put on. She's like, you got to give it back to me, but you take this, use this to have your picture. Like she really wanted to make sure that like lots of people had Hansen jerseys on when they
Yes.
went in. Yeah, so that was really fun. It's fun to see it's fun to see like little kids there who are excited. We had okay, I'll just say my favorite moment of all, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you're gonna know which one that was when we were walking into the turbine hall and I
Yeah.
gasped and I grabbed your arm and then you gasped and I think you turned around and clutched Kat and we were all there because Tiago Splitter was just standing there in the wild for us to walk up to and talk to, and we completely lost our cool so bad.
Well, because he wasn't at a station. He was just like
Yeah,
standing in the middle of like where like people were walking around, and then he was suddenly right there. And one, I forgot he's huge.
yeah,
So I can't believe I missed him. But then I was like, oh my God, he's just like right there.
yeah. And we were like, "That's Tiago Splitter," and you would have thought that like we were seeing like a celebrity rock star or something. I almost fainted. I was just like so excited.
Yes. And first of all, I will just say about Tiago, exceptionally nice.
Oh my
He was
God.
so nice. He like talked to us for a few minutes, which was
Yeah.
really great. And he was surprisingly like candid. Like I really enjoyed meeting
You got
Tiago.
to tell the question that you asked him.
Okay, everybody. So
You're
Tara
doing
and
the
I,
work.
yes, Tara and I, longtime fans of making it known that we would like to see the coaches wear suits again. You've heard it here dozens of times. You're probably tired of hearing about it here, but we keep saying it anyway. Well, when I got FaceTime with Tiago Splitter, the first thing I said to him was, Tiago, I have to tell you, we really would love to see the coaches wear suits. If just for one game, I would love you to consider it. And do you know what he said to me? He said, I would like to wear suits. I think that would be cool. He's like, but I have to convince all the other coaches to wear suits too.
And he didn't
I
think
don't
that was
know.
going to happen, but I believe in you, Tiago. You could totally do it. I mean,
Yes.
if only all the other coaches were women like us, it would just be okay, whatever you say.
Yes. But anyway, on the record, like I will say, I heard Tiago with my own ears say that he would like to wear a suit. So I do think that maybe there's one chance out there, even if it's very, very small. I don't know about this condition of whether or not really all the coaches need to agree to do it, but um, he's on board, everybody.
Well, and you also brought it up the last time we met with our BFFs, Andre and Mike.
That's right.
So we're attacking in this at different angles. And at some point, somebody's going to make suit night. And we are going to, because you're the smallest, hoist you up on our shoulders and carry you through the arena. You
For
are going to be
suit
the
night.
hero.
I don't know if we're gonna get it, and I don't really know to see if he really has to have permission of all the coaches to wear it. If he meant all the coaches on his staff, or if he meant all the coaches in the NBA, I'm not totally sure. But like, he would like to do it. Tiago Splitter would like to show the world him in a suit. So
And who would we be to get in the way of that?
that's right.
Um, so for me, when I go to this is like the fourth or fifth season ticket holder event that I've been to. And what I really like is like the opportunity to like say something to the players, like to, because
Like, good
like,
job, Donovan.
yes, like we all know how much I want Donovan to hear me say good job, Donovan, when I'm down there. Um, but like I don't know why. It's just like everybody like I want to be able to say thank you so much for like you've been really fun to watch this year. I'm really excited for all the progress that the team has made. Thank you so much. Like that's like all I want to say, but I want to like say it because I don't know how often people say that, maybe they hear it a lot, which is great. I'm contributing to, a choir of chorus of people saying things like that. Or maybe people don't say it a lot and, they'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'm making an impact." So that's my favorite thing about it, and also because I hate having my picture taken. So I didn't get to say mostly to everybody. I just told them like, "Good job, thanks for being here." Like for some of the new people, I said like, "Welcome to Portland. I hope it's going well." But what else did you, I feel like there was at least another couple other things that you said, which were really funny. Um, oh, Jeremy. Our conversation with Jeremy was very important.
Well, yeah. So when we saw Jeremy, we got our picture taken with Jeremy and Watt together. And the first thing I said to Jeremy was, Jeremy, are you knitting? And he was like, "What?" And I gave him, it was like the context. I was like, "Well, I've noticed that you started wearing hats lately and like a lot of different knit hats." And I was looking at them and I was realizing I think those are homemade. And I was like, and so I was curious if they were homemade and if you were knitting. And he was like, "Actually, yeah, I am." Um, and and it sounds like both he and his partner are both into the fiber arts. And he made a comment about that, the more colorful hat that he wore recently that looked, I think it looks crocheted and not knit. Um, he said his partner made that one for him. And I was like, oh, that's so great. But it was so wonderful to be able to confirm this like thing that I noticed just like a couple of weeks ago and have him be like, oh yeah, I'm doing that thing. So everybody, Jeremy Grant is getting into the fiber arts, both he and his partner, and they're making hats at least. And they all look great. And I will say that I'm going to be paying more attention to his hats and whether they increase in complexity over the year.
I thought that was you were very quick on your feet on that one. I think all my extent was just I was like, "We have a podcast," huh? And then you were like, "And you were wondering," and it was really great. But it's funny because I completely embarrassed myself the first time I met Jeremy Grant by saying, "Hey, I noticed that you brought rain gear. Does that mean you're going to sign a contract to stay?" And he did. So my observation that he had rain gear was right on. So, your observation about knit hats, maybe it was also right on. So maybe he'll like stop posting. He'll be like, maybe I should stop posting things on social media. These weird ladies keep asking me all these weird questions.
I want to point out though that you did one other thing that happened for you is that when we saw Scoot and Ryan Rupert together. Scoot noticed your Tumania shirt and he was like, "Oh, what does that say?" And he wanted you to like show it to him, and he seemed really pleased to see it.
Yes, and we told him Kaylee makes them. We said
Yes.
the friend of so yeah, we got to meet Tumani. I love Tumani is so friendly. It's just so weird because he just seems like, as like a defensive specialist that he'd be like so icy and like fo focused or whatever. And he's so warm and approachable.
hmm I think that like I didn't really think ahead of time like who I thought would be like in more in their element there versus others. But the people, when I like look back at it later, the guys who seemed a little chattier, were a little surprising to me. I didn't expect Jeremy to be particularly chatty because he
Yeah.
seems like really cool and laid back and like a little stoic. And but he was like pretty chatty. I thought two was really chatty. I thought CD was pretty chatty. Scoot seemed chatty. Like Scoot, I think I guess I could have probably guessed that Scoot might seem chatty, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was just a little surprised. I hadn't really thought about it ahead of time.
Another fun thing was that our friend Kat, okay, wait, side note. Uh, I wrote something in a description one time about how we were having Kat, our remix correspondence, and somebody put in the comments, I thought you meant you were going to have an actual cat. So for people who saw me holding Cora earlier, that is for you. Um, but to take it back to the season ticket holder event, our friend Kat, not an actual cat, but whose name is Kat, was wearing a CD Sissoko jersey, which she had to have custom made because they didn't even have his name, you were saying, in the like, in the thing where you can pick, and we have a history of jersey name issues with Rip City Clothing. But so Kat had it custom made, and so she was wearing it. And what I was surprised at, and I thought was so wonderful, was how many other of the other players noticed that she was wearing CD's jersey and thought that was really cool. I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, I said to her, I was like, you might have the only one because, as you said, it wasn't available in the make your own jersey station drop down menu. Like even when I went to get WAP, he was still in that drop down menu, and so she had to like have them look up the number and the spelling of his name, and she's like, "Can I double check that, please?" Because she wasn't even sure if it was going to be like right because they didn't have it like preset. So it might be, who knows? It might be the only CD Sissoko jersey that exists here in Portland. But he also, I'll say, he seemed like pleased to see his jersey. We got to see CD toward the end of the night, so it was like I think we were maybe the last people that got to see him. Um, and I also got, I'll say, I got the opportunity to ask him about whether he was left-handed or not because he shoots the ball right-handed. He plays, I think, very right-handed style of basketball, and I think that sticks out at me as particularly left-handed. But I did see a video of him writing his name to put in the box, and he was writing with his left, and I was like, oh, because you know me, I'm a left-hander who notices every left-hander within like 50 yards. But he did confirm for me that yes, he is left-handed and he can shoot the ball with both hands. So everybody, now I'm going to be looking obsessively for whether I ever see CD take a left-handed shot because now I'm personally invested as a fellow lefty.
See, these that's why these events are important because we can get we're not doing the hard-hitting journalism, we're doing the niche but important journalism. We're doing the boutique journalism.
I know, but you know where we really fell down on this is we didn't ask anybody about their dogs.
I know. I can't next year I can't believe we didn't ask. And I also can't believe we didn't print up a what awards list so that we could hand out to them and say this is what you guys are playing for this year. Like I feel like if they knew what the awards were, they would, make more of an effort. Not that they're not making an effort, but I maybe even more if we could if they knew like I mean we can't tell them exactly which fashion award because it's still undetermined.
Right.
But like maybe if they knew there was a fashion award, some of these guys wearing sweats would step it up a little bit, maybe.
Who knows? We are giving them the opportunity because they don't know.
Yeah, right. And the for going for MVP, like if these guys that had dogs knew that we were doing MVP this year, maybe they'd be posting more of their dog content.
That's right. We
Or
should
if
have
they
told.
have a cat that nobody's like released, to the public yet.
I don't think Shaden has even posted about his dog. I think he's been tagged in like his partner's posts about his dog, but not like um I don't know if he's actually put like his own dog. If it is his dog, that's another thing. I don't know if it's his dog. It might not be his dog.
Don't even
Um
know.
in his socials. I have regrets that we didn't really get to see Donovan for very long. We saw him really briefly, but I really wanted to ask him about Ollie because Ollie is obviously very prominently featured on socials.
Yeah. The Blazers just put out a little video in the last day or two that was like, it was really cute. Is about Donovan, the difference between Donovan off the court and on the court, and how like goofy and silly he is like off the court with his dog. And they showed him like dressed up for Halloween and just like dancing and being all goofy. And then like cut to like him on the court being all fierce on the court, which I loved that.
very funny. Because all yeah, I mean he's really intense when he plays, but then he's like a big kid when he's
Yeah.
not.
Well, we did ask for or anything else you want to say about the season ticket holder event?
Oh, I just have one other thing that I want to mention. We did get to see Caleb Love, and it was nice. We saw Caleb
Oh,
Love kind of toward
yes.
the end of the evening too, so we had a little bit. It was, I think that the stuff toward the end of the evening didn't feel as rushed because people were kind of wrapping up and they're like the lines weren't long. But I think we were some of the last folks to get to see Caleb. And Kat got to, you know, say how great it was that he was on like the rookie ladder, the top 10 rookie ladder. And I personally, I'm putting this on my CV just ahead of time. I'm telling you all right now. Sorry to anyone who ever has to see that down the road. I taught Caleb Love how to make Korean finger hearts. For those of you who don't know, Korean finger hearts are where you put your index finger and your thumb together to make a little heart shape.
We're
You will see
demoing in the YouTube.
Yes. See how they come together just like this? They're little hearts. If you listen to K-pop, K-pop folks do this a lot. Korean celebrities you'll see doing this. You'll see them doing this. You'll see them doing this as hearts. Like that's where I put my, sorry, for those of you who are just listening, I put my hand to my face as like a little like half heart and the other half is like your cheek. Um,
Oh, cute.
but there's lots of really cute ways to make hearts in I think like with Korean like hand gestures. But this is one of the ways that we do Korean hearts. And so I taught Caleb Love Korean finger hearts because he did show us his own hand heart on TV like a couple of weeks ago and he had the post-game interview with Brooke and he said that the heart meant all love.
You taught me how to make them too. I did not know. I mean, I know Caleb Love, but I also did not know how to make those. So that was fun to see how to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a very fun night overall. I'm so glad you got to go.
Yes. Thank you, Kat.
Okay, so we did ask folks if they had anything on their mind, and we got a couple responses. One is from our friend Jason, Hecubus01 on Blue Sky. We can always count on Jason, which I love. And Jason asks, Denny has been great so far this season and most likely an all-star, all NBA 2 question mark. But what is one thing that you would like to see him improve upon?
Oh, this is tough because I say like I can see that like he's still getting used to this role, like being the star and the center focal point of a team. And so it feels I was like I don't want like I'll say like my immediate reaction is like I don't want to sound judgy. I don't want to sound judgy of like things that he's still obviously already working on and growing through. But um I'll say like for me, the one thing that I would really like to see him do is to protect his body.
Hmm. Oh, okay.
Um, and this is because like so he falls down a lot, right? He takes a lot of contact, he falls down a lot. And I think that that is by design, as we talked about earlier. Um, but I'll say like he's one of those players that kind of reminds me of Dame, who I think might play through injury. And for his like long-term health and longevity and long-term success of the team, I hope that he learns to take the advice of trainers and coaching staff and sometimes just sit out even though he can stand up.
Yeah. Yeah. He seems like a guy who would be, I mean, so many of them do feel like guys who
Yeah.
would play through injury. And I think that last game where Thiago said that he pulled Denny out and would not let him back on. Like Denny's one of those guys you need to take his helmet, but whatever
Yeah.
whatever the basketball equivalent of taking a helmet is, it's for the long term. It's for the long term because we know that he's so good and is going to bring so much.
Yeah, Tiago basically said like I had to save him from himself in like the post game, where
Yeah.
he like Denny probably wanted to go back in and was ready to go back in and Tiago was like absolutely not.
So, aside from our bias, because now we're basically close personal friends with him, having met him one time for 30 seconds, um, do we think, I feel like Thiago Splitter's a good coach. Like, I mean, I like it's weird. Like, I feel like he's really connected with these guys. Like, this is a total tangent, but like, probably also helped or aided by the fact that, the year started off pretty traumatically and he was like the guy who was left in charge. but he
Hmm.
just feels so connected to these players and so connected to what each one of them needs. And I don't know
Hmm.
if that's just because he's better in interviews and is more apt to say that than the previous coach ever was. I feel like Billups would talk about how they were connected and we'd hear all about how he was really a player's coach. But I feel like I see it with Tiago Splitter.
Yeah, and like in the quick article that we were talking about earlier, he has a couple quotes from Tiago where Tiago talked about how the way he coaches Denny is different than the way he coaches other guys. And just this idea that you need to tailor your approach to different guys based on who they are and what their experiences are and how you can motivate them, I thought was nice to hear that he has
Hmm.
like he might have a different approach for every guy. I don't know, but he did make it sound like he's like, I coach Denny harder than I coach anybody else. He said that in that article because, we heard about Denny's upbringing and how hard he was coached um, in his like teen years when he was playing professional ball as a young person. And he said, sometimes I think I go too far. Did you remember that part of the article? He
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
sometimes I think I go too far. And then Denny will say to me, no, coach, I got you. Um, but it tells me that he's listening to these guys and he's
Hmm.
listening to what motivates them, what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And he tries to like dial back the things that don't work so well and lean into the things that do work for different guys. And that makes me have high hopes for him in terms of like how well he's able to connect with all these players and get them to help support them to get to the highest level that they are able.
Hmm.
And it actually made me wonder, I'm like, are you the right coach for Denny to get him to that next level? Which could be quite scary. Like I don't even know what Denny's next level might look like because it would like add a lot of like consistency and
Hmm.
probably like, like cleaning up things like turnovers or whatever. But like he could be like scary good if he has the right coach to help him get to that level. I don't know.
Hmm. And I think there's coaches who help you get to the level, and then there's the coaches who come in once you're at the level and coach the team to their highest success. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And this is based on absolutely nothing, but it seems to me like some coaches are really good at like I don't it's not necessarily the same coaches who are good at planning and executing the game as are good at developing the players. Like you have coaches who do the player development and they get the players to as developed as they possibly can, but then it takes somebody else to switch it up and like come up with the game plan to actually put them over the top. But that's pure observation based on nothing. um I will just say that the thing that I would add, you mentioned right there at the end, which is cleaning up turnovers, which to me is like, that's an accessory. Once you're all dressed and
Yeah.
ready to go out, then you put on your accessories. And once you're all dressed up and you're the NBA player that you've become, then to me, the last thing that you do the last thing that I worry about is the turnovers. And so that's the obvious thing to me right now that he could clean up.
Yeah, and I think that's true for both him and Shaden right now. Like him and Shaden are both, I think, are like our biggest turnover guys, and partly it's because they're holding the ball the most.
Hmm.
But I also think that like once we are fine tuning this team and we're in a relatively healthy place, I think a lot of that is I think the turnover conversation is downstream from some of these other problems that we have, which is that we're still growing and we have a lot of injuries that we're dealing with. That's a good question. Thank you, Jason. We have a take from a listener as well this week.
A take or take.
A take or take. That's right. A take or take. And this is from Mr. 503 Gavi Hakohen. And he says, my take is similar to Rose's take about breast cancer, which was a take I had earlier, like early last year. Um, I am getting married this year and I am planning my wedding. I don't mind hearing other people give me details about their weddings, but I don't care about speculation surrounding weddings of certain celebrities getting married this year. Just because somebody's favorite celebrity is getting married around the same time as me isn't an invitation to talk to me about that celebrity.
Is is this like directed at Taylor Swift, or do we know if Taylor Swift is getting married this year?
I don't know. This is where like I fall down a little bit on any of this because I don't know when celebrities are getting married until they got married and then like the internet throws photos of their wedding at me. Like that's how I know celebrities are getting married is after they've gotten married. Um, so I don't know. Is she getting married this year? I don't know.
I don't know. All I know is that she's engaged. And all I ever know, because I watch so much Bravo, is all I ever hear about are people's divorces. But oh, first of all, congratulations to
Yes.
Gabby. Congratulations. That's super exciting.
Yeah, yes, getting married is a huge step. And also, I think, like any major life event that a lot of people participate in, potentially getting married, having a baby, apparently having cancer, like all of these things sometimes make people feel like they should talk to you about that thing because they have experience in that thing. When, yes, it's definitely your own thing. Um, so I can hear you loud and clear that like you don't want to hear about any hearing about other people's weddings can be great if you're like trying to solve a problem with planning your own wedding. You're like, oh, I have this problem with whatever. How did you deal with that? But it's different when it's unsolicited and it also is a famous person you don't know.
Yes, if you're seeking out a solution, then yes, bring it on. But otherwise, like I'm in the checkout line with you, and I mentioned something about my wedding, and now here we have to hear all about it, or about if Taylor Swift is gonna what she's gonna do when she gets married.
Yeah, and for me it was, did you know that Pam from The Office also has breast cancer or Olivia Munn also has breast cancer and they're young? And I'm like, yes. And
Yeah, give me their number so I can talk to them.
um so yeah, I get it. It's a good reminder though to us all to like not co-opt somebody's experience and make it about us, you know? Like what we all should probably say here is, Gavi, congratulations. That's such a great thing for you. I'm so excited for you. I hope your wedding is wonderful.
Yeah, and I hope we get to see pictures. It'd be fun to see it when it's see it all come together.
Yeah, because also my favorite weddings are the ones that are like people make them their own, you know? Like, I mean, there, I know there's like kind of a general like cadence or whatever, but like every time you see pictures from somebody's own wedding, it's usually like they've done something to make it their own, and that's like kind of the best part.
Hmm.
I don't need to weigh in on any of that, and I don't need to hear about it ahead of time, but seeing the pictures and like seeing how happy it made everybody, like that's the best.
And I am not weighing in on how Gabby should be having his wedding. I am just recalling because of this conversation how much fun it was the Damian Lillard wedding. Do you remember what a big deal that was that summer? What a huge big deal that was.
Yes, I do, and I also remember I don't know why I remember this, but I remember thinking like when I saw those pictures, I was like, the whole NBA knows each other because everyone's always at each other's wedding. It was like, guys, I was like, you've never been a Blazer. Why are you there?
I think everybody was at that wedding.
Yeah. Snoop Dogg was at that wedding.
Wow. Well, I got to go back and look at that because that was an entertaining time. Well, thank you, Gabby, for that take. I love taker takes. Takers, give us your takes anytime, and we will share them in our rotation. Rose, do you want to do your take?
Yeah. So today it's January 25th, 2026. My take today is broadly related to the idea that it's been a hard week. And my take today is to remind you all to like, please take care of yourselves however you need. I think it's really important to sometimes take that step back, care for yourself, care for your soul a little bit, because I think that everything that we are seeing every day feels horrible. And it's not healthy for us to just carry that all the time, 24 hours a day with no end in sight. So I care about who you are. I care about your joy as much as I care about the values and the things that you believe in and what is right and what is good. But, please remember to take care of yourself because that's the only way we get through this. And that's the only way we can survive such traumatic times.
That's a great take, and I would add to it to talk to your friends because it was really helpful for me to talk with you today, Rose. I really appreciate it. All this
Yeah.
conversation we had before we got on and the conversation that we've been having now. Talk to your friends.
Yeah. Your community has you. I think that's maybe the most important thing that I get out of my Blazer fandom
Hmm.
is the community. And your community has you. And as long as we come with each other with like our best intentions and open ears and are humble and with grace, like we can do a
Yeah.
lot of things together.
And think about the things that you would do for somebody, and then there's somebody out there that will probably do the same thing for you. You know,
Exactly.
makes us feel a little connected. Well, my take is maybe somebody, if they listen to my take, will act on it and make your life give a little smile to you. Because here's my take. Um, I was looking at the dunk scores. I'm sorry. But it's the quickest way to get a peek at all of the Blazer dunks because you can just
Hmm.
go and you can filter it and just show me the Blazers. As I was looking at the dunk score, I was looking at how many two-handed dunks the Blazers have. Yay, good job on the two hands for safety. As I was doing that, I was like, I wonder how many left-handed dunks the Blazers have had. I'm so sorry to tell you there are only four. Out of
Four.
259 dunks, only four of them have been left-handed, and those were by Shaden had one, Robert Williams had one, Jeremy had one, and CD had one.
CD
So
had one.
my take, more left-handed dunks, please.
Yes, dunks of all varieties, but left-handed dunks.
Yeah.
Also, it's very interesting to me that Rob has one because Rob's dunks are usually like right under the hoop. He likes to go straight up for them, like for lobs and stuff. And it's interesting that he reached with his left hand, but I guess maybe it was about like where he was standing in the position and it was just a better angle or something.
Yeah. Yeah, could be. So yeah, that's my take. More left-handed dunks. I mean, can I just say what a pleasure it is to have any demands whatsoever about dunks,
Looking at
considering where we've been?
We have three left-handed players. I just want to point out right now. We have Chris Murray, Tumani Kamara, and CD Sissoko. We can get some more left-handed dunks. Like
Yeah,
we got dunkers. Chris Murray, I'm looking at you. I get well soon, but also two hands
dunk.
for, I guess two hands for safety technically is using both hands.
Yeah, yeah. We might not get him to move off, but Tumani does a fair amount of one-handed ones.
He does.
So I think we could get some more one-handed dunk. In case you were wondering how far the Blazers have come, the other day I was looking at where they were like 4 years ago. They were at 2.6, I think, dunks per game they averaged over the season, which actually felt like more than they were. It felt like less, let's just
Yeah.
say. But now they're at 5.6. So there are three whole more dunks a game, and it has gotten I've gotten so spoiled that now if I'm looking at how many dunks they have in a game and it's five or less, I'm like, come on, guys, you can do better than that. So I have very high expectations, and I'm gonna have to start bullying them into doing more dunks, I guess.
More dunks. And also maybe if we get more dunks, then the the arena folks will be more compelled to put dunks on the hustle board.
One can hope. If anybody out there has any influence with the people who do the in arena graphics and statistics, we are requesting very respectfully some acknowledgement of dunks. I wanted it on the hustle board, but I will take any kind of a graphic that acknowledges the total number of dunks. It could be one that they just show one time a night. But please, the guys have been stepping it up, and I think they should be rewarded by us all appreciating it.
That's right. And don't get me wrong though, I love watching the highlights. The highlight that a lot of those dunks make the highlights on social when they're done, and I'm very excited about that. But yes, in-game acknowledgement of the dunks would be great.
We've had some fun suggestions over on Blue Sky. One guy was saying that he was uh considering bringing in like their own signs to hold up, the like every time there's a dunk, hold up a sign so we have the dunks with a picture of the count. Um
Mm.
so I think there's definitely some things that we can do. But for now my take is more left-handed dunks. I would love to see some more by the end of the year.
I
See if
love
we can
it.
double that number.
I love it.
I think that about does it. Whew,
Whew.
that was a heavy episode.
Yeah, it was we had a lot go on this week, but I am really pleased that we got to talk about it.
Yeah,
I hope that all of our listeners and all of the folks in our basketball community are
yeah.
trucking on.
Yeah. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Thanks for so much for looking at us or watching us on YouTube or listening to us on wherever you get your podcast. We've had a lot of YouTube viewers, which is kind of cool. Um, so, but also you podcast OGers are also very cool. Let me. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. You can find us at We Have a Take on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads. You can find me at TCB Biggs, and you can find Rose at Rose L Harding. Thank you so much for listening, and go Blazers.